I've got all the way from Columbus, Ohio, a couple of young gentlemen that are in the electric motorcycle business, or at least design and development part of the business. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves. We're going to talk about their electric motorcycle. Obviously, the Buckeyes there at OSU have been very much involved in electric vehicle developments for, wow, as long as I've been around at EV World. I've actually saw them racing, your predecessors, obviously, guys, racing years ago down in Phoenix. So welcome to EV World, and do us a favor and introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Brendan Kelly, the business manager here at Buckeye Current. I'm a senior in industrial engineering here at Ohio State.
And my name is Aaron Bonnell-Kanga. I'm one of the technical coordinators on the team, and I'm also a senior in the electrical and computer engineering program.
All right, excellent. Guys, thanks for doing this. What we're going to talk about is your electric motorcycle project. As I was mentioning, I had the opportunity, it's been probably, 4 years ago now maybe, to come to OSU, to go to the Car Center, which is, I assume, where you guys probably work out of.
Yes,
I got to see, I think it was Buckeye Bullet #2, which was under construction at that point. And also, interestingly, as I was being given a tour of the center there, I came across these guys that were building an electric motorcycle. So I'm assuming you guys are probably the successors, since that was probably, you guys may have been freshmen at that time or not even at the school yet. You're probably successors of that original effort, right?
That's right.
Correct. I was actually a freshman on that team when they first started there back in the day.
All right.
Sweet little one.
All right. Very good. Well, that's very cool. Well, let's first of all, let's give us a little bit of, for people that aren't familiar with the Center for Automotive Research, there at LSU, sort of give us a brief encapsulation of what you guys are doing there, what the objective of the program is, and what does an electric motorcycle have to do with that?
So the Center for Automotive Research houses not only the academic professors who are doing extensive research in the field, but they also partner up with local businesses to do additional research. And one of the really cool things that we really like as students is they host student project teams in the back building. They give us a garage to work out of. They give us support, academic help, really help us develop our skill sets and really work on pushing technologies, especially in the automotive fields. It's really neat because it gives us an opportunity to learn while also actually producing valuable research for companies and for also being able to pioneer things like electric vehicle technology.
The student projects at CAR have had a really long history of success, starting back, it must have been 10 plus years now, with General Motors sponsored competitions like Future Truck and Challenge X.
Yep.
Those were some of the first programs to have students integrating advanced vehicle technologies. And then coming a little bit more into motorsport, we had programs like the Smokin' Buckeye, which was the predecessor to the Buckeye Bullet that you mentioned.
Right.
They were absolutely dominant in one of the first electric vehicle racing series at the collegiate level. And that started to build this tradition of highly successful student motorsports teams incorporating advanced vehicle technologies at CAR. It's been a really amazing opportunity for us to have, and all of our industry sponsors say they love the students coming out of this program just because we have so much hands-on experience. It's really incomparable to any other kind of academic program.
Yeah, otherwise what you'd have is a lot of theory, a lot of textbooks, a lot of lectures under your belt, some papers you've written. This actually lets you get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
And yeah, we love that as engineers.
There's nothing like it.
Very good. Okay, so I mentioned that part of this program has been the Buckeye Bullet, and that's really been the electric streamliner project. This is a long, that thing's got to be 15, 20 feet long, just enough to sit somebody in the cockpit, and all the rest of it's batteries and electric motors and a fin for stabilization in the back. It looks like an airplane that somehow lost its wings. Or maybe a cruise missile or something that lost its wings. So what relationship, do you guys sort of choose, I'm going to work on the Buckeye Bullet program, or I'm more interested in motorcycles, or do you sort of cross-discipline work on, both projects at the same time?
We typically kind of stay centered on our one project. So, for example, we mostly work on the electric motorcycle, and then they kind of handle the Buckeye Bullet. We do obviously share notes, compare stories, kind of figure out how it all works, and trade notes and things like that. But we typically do stay kind of centered in our project teams. But Buckeye Bullet is an amazing student organization. What they're able to accomplish is honestly just amazing. We hope to be able to get there one day and be to that level of that tier of competition, that tier of innovation and advancing the technology. I know that that was one of the things I first heard about at the Center for Automotive Research. And they also, just the fact that they're not really involved in one particular competition, but rather go right for the land speed record is really kind of inspiring for us. But the other project teams, you always kind of share notes on how to get sponsors, talk about the technical aspects. For example, Formula Buckeye, who builds a race car, they were helping us do some of our fiberglassing work. It's just kind of talking things out, figuring out what we're coming up with, and really just sharing the experience and the knowledge that we have inside of the Center for Automotive Research.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, of course, is that the Buckeye Bullet is partially or largely, I don't know what the actual financial situation is, but I know that when we refer to it, we generally like to refer to it as the Venturi Buckeye Bullet, because my friend and colleague, I guess the way to describe it, Gilles Dupasteur over in Monaco, helps fund that project. And as you're probably aware, he recently, a couple of years ago, acquired a bankrupt French motorcycle company, has now reintroduced that company using their name Vauxhall, and introduced earlier this year or was it late last year, within the last 6 months at least, a super motorbike, motorcycle that he saw in Paris, and it was quite remarkable. So what I'm wondering is there, given that interest on the part of Venturi in electric motorcycles, is there any kind of cross-discipline work there, any kind of sharing of things, or are the efforts completely separate?
The efforts are separate, but that is a beautiful bike. That is just very pretty. We like that. But no, we actually are not involved in that effort. It's really, really cool what they're doing. We have a lot of respect for them, obviously, but we haven't been involved in that.
It's exciting. Yeah, we were always excited to see new models of electric bikes coming out on the market, and especially good-looking electric bikes. You can think of cars sort of more like a startup incubator than anything else.
Okay.
It's a space for these student project teams to come together, and all the team members are driven by their team's goals and their passions. And as Brandon was mentioning, all the teams have developed their unique expertise in some specific area. And of course, we benefit from sharing technical information and knowledge and experience from the other teams, but we're not directly involved in their efforts, and we don't have a formal relationship with Venturi.
Okay, all right, great. Well, let's talk a little bit about the history of your bike. As I mentioned, I saw an early iteration of that a number of years ago when I was there at the center. Where are we at in terms of the history of this thing now? How has the technology changed, improved? Obviously, that was probably either another class that started that, or freshmen such as, when you were a freshman, Brendan. How has that technology kind of evolved? So sort of give us a sense of where you guys are at and how you got there.
Yeah, so the story of Buckeye Current began my freshman year. It was Sean Ewing, our founder, was really passionate about electric vehicle technology. He got a bunch of other motorcycle enthusiasts together. We wanted really to go to the Isle of Man and race in the TTZero, which was just forming. That was the initial passion, goal, and whole purpose for our student org. So when it started, Sean was very vocal, got everybody together, really started working on our first bike, RW1, which was built an MB Augusta frame. It was a pretty bike. We just had some issues with some technical aspects, such as the battery and the motors. But we were able to still take that bike down to the East Coast Timing Association and set the top speed record for electric motorcycles at 144 miles per hour in our second year. In our third year, we really got together, decided we wanted to build another bike, worked with the Honda OSU partnership, and we're able to source a frame, the Honda 1000RR frame, which is a beautiful bike. We were able to work with AAE, a Chinese battery manufacturer, and build our second iteration of the bike, RW2, to take over to the Isle. And Aaron can tell you about that a little bit more.
Yeah, so RW2 was really a ground-up rebuild from RW1. It's a completely new pack, a completely new motor, and actually one of the most advanced motors we've found so far, and a much higher level of build refinement based on the experience that we had from RW1. You can think of RW1 as sort of a test bed that we had for some of the technologies and the ideas coming into RW2. And so RW2 was the first bike that we had that was really ready to go to the aisle, which, as Brendan mentioned, was the team's top-down goal. We said, you know what, we want to race in the TT, we want to be there.
Yeah.
So coming there to the aisle, obviously we were very successful last year, which we're thrilled about, and this year we're working on RW2X, which is not a ground-up rebuild, but rather an incremental improvement over RW2 that still incorporates quite a bit of changes from the original from the original vehicle on the same frame, the same chassis design.
Okay, so well, let's talk a little bit about the technology on board. So, as I understand it, this is like a 70 horsepower motor, 450 volt battery pack, but beyond that, I don't know a lot. So maybe you kind of give us some of the nitty gritty on on the pack, on the system that's propelling this bike.
Sure. Well, I'm all about the nitty gritty. As I mentioned, we've got this this motor. You mentioned it's a 70 horsepower motor. It's one of the most advanced technology motors we've found so far. It's compared to most other electric motors we've found, it has a higher power per weight and per volume than almost anything else.
Is this something that you've sort of gotten off the shelf, or you guys have found a motor and rewound it yourself? I mean,
no, it's from a third-party manufacturer. It's from a company called Enstrage, and the motor's called the MRAX.
Okay.
It's a extremely lightweight motor. I don't remember the specs off the top of my head, but it's in the tens of kilos. And all of the other teams incorporating electric power are very jealous of our power to weight. Everyone who's seen it has been very surprised by it. So we're able to take that space that that the motor saves us and pack in a lot more batteries.
Okay.
The battery pack is a 450 volt battery pack. It's made out of the cells from a company called AEE Energy, and they're specifically tailored for our requirements at the Isle of Man. Okay. So the amount of energy we pack on board is directly calculated to be the length of a lap at the Isle of Man. We've developed a fairly advanced simulation of the Isle of Man that's specific only to the Isle. And so we can test the effect of various parameters and changes, test the effect of changing the battery pack size and other things like that. So we can actually develop the bike on the computer before we have to build it ourselves, see the effects of various tuning changes, and iterate a lot faster on our design.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, let's talk about the Isle of Man, because I don't know how many people that will be listening or viewing this are actually familiar with the TTZero or the originally TTXGP race. So kind of tell us a little bit, what's that involved? I assume, have you guys been over there? Have you seen the track? Sort of give us a sense of what it's like to race there on the Island of Man, which is, of course, in the Irish Sea between basically Wales and England and Ireland.